Welcome to Inside Raceland Football, live on Kool TV. Over the next hour, James Collier will visit with Raceland Rams head coach Mike Salmons and players to discuss the 2025 Rams season in their quest toward another return trip to Kroger Field. Now, here's your host of Inside Raceland Football, the voice of the Rams, James Collier.
Turnover right now that's been going on, and the big thing was preparation of trying to look at game film. First week they play the top team in the state of Kentucky in Trinity, and you come in week two, and there was a lot of people that was on the field in week one that was not out there in week two, and it really made preparation. But it was, we talked about this before the game, it was more about your preparation of you taking care of you than worrying about PRP.
Yeah, I mean, just a constant change for them, right? I mean, their scrimmage to game one was a turnover. Game one to game two was another, obviously, turnover. They played Trinity week one. We saw what Trinity did last week to Frederick Douglass. I'm quite sure Trinity would do that to most teams in the state. They're a phenomenal football team and maybe even exceptional by their own standards this year. So it was a little bit unknown. We'd never been to PRP before. I'm not sure for Raceland football team, and this is year 100. We're well celebrated there that we've ever played a Jefferson County public school. I don't know that to be factual, but we never have, to my knowledge. We have played Kentucky Country Day, and at one time it was just called Country Day. But it was always a public school. It's never been a JCPS school. We played Louisville Holy Cross a couple years in semis, things like that, but never a public Jefferson County school. So that was a big step for us. And we went west, we went north, but we maybe haven't went that far west outside the playoffs. So I'm just proud of our guys. They had obviously a very phenomenal stadium.
Beautiful stadium, brand new turf surface, brand new bleachers. I mean, it was a very inviting atmosphere. And again, you hear some of the stories about some stuff that's occurred down that way, but a hat tip to PRP and their staff. They were top notch. Everything was very nice and organized. It was a great atmosphere to be a part of.
Yeah, they communicated well throughout the week and very hospitable. So that was very nice to see. Very first class. Again, you're talking about their athletic director who just had a team in the state final. So he obviously knows what expectations are and how things work. And I think they'll be the first to tell you, they expect more from the football program. And I think they feel like brighter days are ahead. They just got to try to get a wrangle on their kids and try to get some continuity there. But our guys were very businesslike. We took care of business. I felt like we exploited some things. We were able to put the ball in the air some. Jake was very accurate, very on time, very on target. We made some catches. We did some things. We executed some things. We practiced. We still made our handful of mistakes. But overall, we saw a nice jump from week one to week two. And again, you want to see jumps each week, and this week is no different.
You and I, we've talked throughout the week about some stuff over that game and the game plan for it. And one of the things you pointed out, and you told me this in post-game, in the Ashland game, your three big bodies carried the ball 50 times. Stiltner, Marucci, and Arnett touched the ball 6 times. You guys only had 14 carries. But it was the way that the game played at Ashland, the way the game presented itself at PRP. And it kind of allows you to see both sides of the ball of what you got so far when you get ready to head down to Pikeville coming up on Friday.
Yeah, and I spoke in the past few years when our program's been elevated. We went to the finals in 17, and even since then, been elevated more consistently for the last 5 years, anyways. The power has been in our unselfishness. Our guys have been unselfish, and we've had some just outstanding football players. I mean, just phenomenal, talented players. One thing I always go back to, one stat that would probably rock most people's mind, and I'm not really a stat guy. Like I tell Jake Waller, our quarterbacks are judged on one stat, and that's how many games the team wins. But there was a game that we played, a high school football game here that Noah Wallace, which is one of the leading rushers in school history, maybe the leading rusher, again, I don't know all that, who got 0 carries on a Friday night.
I remember that game.
And so I think when your best player at that time took on that type of unselfishness, that type of persona, then that's infectious among the team, and it also carries on through the locker room. And so that's kind of who we are and who we become, and it's been a big part of our success. And so you saw that Friday. I don't know, we had 30 snaps, I believe, or so, and those guys touched it on 6, so 1 out of 5, 20%. At Putnam Stadium, one of those 3 touched it on, 95% of the snaps or something like that. So, it's really powers and numbers. We're really a sum of the parts. We're not really a one-headed monster or a 3-headed monster. We are what the name on the chest says. We are Raceland, and whatever gives us the best chance to be successful that night is kind of going to be our approach.
Jake, very efficient in the passing game, 9 of 13, 236 yards, 4 touchdowns. He scattered the ball around to 5 different receivers. Brigham Davidson, a nice coming out for him, and a guy that you've been able to work in the slot, move him around a little bit, but he's really come into his body this year. You can really tell, and he's a guy that he's confident with his skill, and he and Jake really made a good combo and a couple good passes last week.
Yeah, I mean, Brigham was, he's in the right place at the right time, right? He was taking advantage of his opportunities. Early on here in the preseason, where we've kind of used Jonah more in the backfield and more, so Brigham's kind of had some more opportunities at that position. And he's, credit to him, he's taking advantage of them. And, at Wheelersburg, he was on both sides of the ball, and this last couple of weeks he just played offense. And we've been using Jonah in the backfield some, but Jake's really on target with all of his guys. I feel like he's got good chemistry with all those guys. Obviously, played with Parker most of the year last year. We really feel really confident in Bryson Rousey. Just last year he was unhealthy, so he's moving and playing as well as he's played here his whole career. So very excited about him. Of course, you spoke about Brigham, and then you got Eli Evans, who had a big touchdown catch last week, and Eli's just a special talent. He does stuff that people don't coach, and he is as carefree as there's a kid in this building. He doesn't care if it snows oats. He wouldn't know the difference in Putnam Stadium, PRP, or Kroger Field. He just shows up and does what Eli does. There's some other guys coming on behind him there. Scott Wilkes, who's coming in his own, getting a little healthy. I think he had a catch last week. Charlie Vanderhoof, I'm not sure if he got a catch last week, but he got some.
Done a really good job in the return game.
Yeah, he's a player that's up and coming for us in the pass game. So we feel like we got, and I don't include our running backs, we feel like we got weapons there that we can use. And I know you're a baseball guy. I'm a little baseball junkie myself, but you're going to kind of play the hot hand, right? Whoever's swinging a hot stick, especially this time of year, they're going to be in the lineup, and that's kind of who we are. Whoever comes out Friday, and maybe they're the luck of fortune, but whoever it is, we're going to ride the wave.
If you got a question for us and you're tuned in on YouTube, drop it in the chat box, and we'll try to get coached. And we'll get some players coming in here in just a little bit. We'll talk with them as well. We talked about Brigham, and you mentioned Eli. Having those two playing underneath the two seniors of Bryson and Parker, how big has that been of having those guys that are going to be the guys that are going to be taking over in those spots next year, to have two senior leaders like that?
Yeah, I think those guys have just brought a lot of steadiness to us, a lot of continuity, and you spoke about players you coming on later on the show, and some of our linemen kind of fall in that category, and guys just more so, I guess maybe a little bit vocal, but not really their persona. Those guys are really example guys, and really proud of how much they've grown up on and off the field, and they've matured in our program. And I think that's really what it's about, trying to develop these young men as teenagers, or young teenagers, maybe a better way into young men. And those guys are obviously, they're counting down the months on maybe on 2 hands now when they graduate. And so they've really grown and developed and matured, and developed into good young men. And so I think that's first and foremost. And then they're good young men, and it carries over in our locker room, then outside the locker room door between the white lines, and that becomes infectious. And so those guys have been real good role models for our young guys. I think they realize the talent the guys behind them possess. And again, I've talked about it. Nobody wants to be the one who lets go of the rope. And so those guys are no different. Those seniors don't want to let go of the rope. And the seniors don't want the juniors to let go of the rope, and juniors and on down. And so that's kind of how programs are built, and that's the model of consistency.
We'll talk about that senior class in just a bit, but before we get too far, nothing that we have talked about so far offensively happens without those 5 guys up front, and they are a very cohesive unit. You've got 3 of the big guys that'll be here tonight across that line, but you've got a lot of football experience across that front, and it starts right there in the middle with Carson Bowden.
Yeah, the old adage, and that's one reason you messaged me today about getting some players on the show, and I said, well, no line, no shine, right? I mean, everybody's heard me say, and people joke about it, and people don't survive rush hour, November football, people don't, dogs don't survive, and crossing the road at rush hour traffic, or teams that can't run the ball, and that comes from offensive line play. You got to be able to play offensive line, you got to be able to run the ball, you got to play defensive line, you got to be able to stop the run. And so that'll be the same Friday night, although it's a week 3 game, it's not a championship game, but that will decide the game. But it's really all about the line play and how well those guys gel together. And obviously Carson by now has, at least 30-plus stars underneath his belt, as well as some other guys around him that are really, really experienced. I think we're You know, Friday night we'll start maybe 4 seniors on the offensive line, if I'm thinking right off the side of my head. We do some rotations there. You know, we'll play some other guys as well, a couple juniors and a sophomore, but you know, I think we'll play 8 guys will probably be our approach, but 4 of them will be seniors, and so those guys are really the heartbeat of the team. You know, they're not going to be on the front page of the paper. Like the paper today had one of our running backs on there, and good for him. But you know, linemen aren't going to make that cut. That's just how it works. But those guys are really the heartbeat of the team, and I think if they can serve the team, and the team relishes that and holds on to it, that's when you get something special.
You look at what you guys do defensively, a 3-4 set, and a lot of those guys up front, those 3, they take on double teams, but it's all for what those linebackers can do behind you. And they hawk to the ball, and it seems like it's year after year. You just get linebacker after linebacker after linebacker that goes and does the work, but it's still those 3 up front, they do a superb job as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's no secret we're an odd front, right? You go 3-4, we're an odd front. We play 2 high safeties most of the time. That's kind of who we are, and I think some value in knowing who you are and what you do and what you believe in. And so I think, you know, our consistency, our program has really helped us with that over the years. But our TNT, our nose guys, TNT is an old Coach Ross term there, you know. We talk about that guy all the time, but you know, the nose guard and the 2 defensive tackles, sometimes they're called defensive ends or whatever. You know, you really got to be tough there at the point of attack. You know, the nose man can't get driven to level 2. Those 2 defensive ends really got to be able to control B gap. You know, we got to get the ball out of the middle, try to get that thing running to the sideline. That's obviously the ultimate goal. And if players are running horizontal versus vertical, you feel like you got a shot. And that's kind of how we're built in simple terms. But you know, we got 2 starters back on the defensive line. You know, we moved Bryson from the offensive line to the defensive line. He's a returning starter on the other side of the ball, so he has some game experience. Obviously, you know, we lost a phenomenal talent. You know, I'm sure, no doubt, a Raceland Hall of Famer in James Salmons last year. You know, anytime you can take a defensive lineman, and he's the district player of the year, I think that says enough, right? I mean, in Class A football, because most times they're going to look down through there and find out who gets the most touchdowns, and that's the district player of the year. And that's not really who we are. And so I had the big shoes to fill there. We haven't filled them completely, and we may not, but hopefully some of the parts will. And so our defensive line guys are getting better. You know, I don't think that you could convince us that we're totally happy or satisfied with the amount of rushing yards we've given up. Albeit, I know last week was a little bit skewed in the sense that they got a long run after the clock was running against some backups and all that. But again, the standard's the standard, right? It doesn't matter who's in the game. And so those are things that we're really working hard to clean up, and we really want to control the run game, and that's something we got to continue to strive on.
On the back end last week, 2 interceptions, one for a pick 6. The other one, I gave Landon Goodall a hard time at school. I said, man, you couldn't get another yard. He said, my blocker in front of me cut back in front of me, took it away. But you get 2 interceptions in one game, a pick 6 with Jonah, and that's a good night at the office.
Yeah, you got to create turnovers, right? That's probably the biggest improvement I saw from week 1 to week 2. You know, week 1 we were -2 in the turnover game. You know, obviously 2 fumbles in the second half kind of made the game a little bit more difficult for us than it needed to be. You know, last week we were +2 in the turnover game. That was a big jump. That's a 4 turnover swing from a -2 to a +2. That's the number 1 thing on our goal board down the hall here. It talks about the very first line takeaway battle every week. So that was good for us. You know, I was glad to see us make an explosive play there too. You know, I think the stats show like there's some crazy percent, like 90-some%, if you get some type of special teams return or defensive touchdown, your chances to win the game go up by like 90-some% in high school football. And so that's a big indicator. And so, you know, Jonah was able to score one there. You know, we got some pressure on the quarterback, forced a bad throw. And then, you know, Goodall got down to the, half-inch line there.
Yeah, he was
like
right
that.
there.
The guys were giving him a hard time. But yeah, those guys been optimistic. Those guys really experienced. You know, Jonah's essentially a 3-year starter now. And Goodall had 15 or so starts last year. And those guys are rock solid for us on the back end. They're going to have to be for us to make it to the last day of the season and change the silver in for a gold.
When you have guys like that on the back end with Jonah and Landon that have played so much, they're so athletic from what they can do, how much does that allow the guys in front of them to just talk to the ball the way they do?
Yeah, I think you feel like, you know, back there you got an eraser, right? You got someone who can make you right, even if they're not right, even if they're not perfect, at least they can get the guy on the ground and we can get the next play. That's one of the big things we talk about in our program, try to get the next play, play the next play. if you can keep them out of the end zone, you have a chance to play the next play. And we saw that at Ashland, right? They got down there. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was first and goal from the 9. I think that's right. 8 minutes to go in the game or so. So let's go get the next play. Next thing you know, you get a second and goal from the 5, if I remember right. Then we get ready to have a tackle for loss. We get a holding call, and then you get an incomplete pass, and then next thing you know, the tide turns in your favor. So you just got to keep going, keep playing, and those guys in the back end really make us right. Goodall kind of played middle of the field for us, and Jonah as well, just trying to share the load back there and really be sure tacklers and really run the perimeter. Again, we're going to try to get the ball out of there and get those running backs and ball carriers running horizontal, but when they do, they got to be tackled, right? And so the linebackers run inside out, but you got to have guys run outside in. And so our safeties are well schooled on that, and they practice it a lot and for a long time, and that's what we expect them to do. And so they're just doing their job when the front guys get the ball out of the middle, and the back guys are supposed to get on the ground. That's just part of the scheme.
All right, we're going to step out for our first break. When we come back, we've got some players in studio with us, or I guess in the field. It's not the studio. We turned it into a studio here tonight. We got Isaac Horsley, Carson Bowden, and Jacob Litteral. 3 men of those offensive linemen. We'll talk with them as we continue our coverage here on Inside Raceland Football on the Total Media Sports Network.
Good morning, Isabella.
Hi, David.
Back for your morning routine?
Clark's Refresh Rewards program is something you'll flip for.
Hey, Isabella. Hi, Annabelle.
Donut?
Don't forget the sprinkles. Sprinkles! Cream and sugar.
Download our app today and enjoy all of the rewards. No flipping required.
Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
At First National Bank, we strive to make every person that walks through our doors feel like family. Because to us, you are. For over 120 years, we have lived in and served the families of Kentucky with genuine care through the good times and the bad. Come and see the difference banking with family can truly make for you at any of our 7 locations, or visit our website at www.fnbgrayson.com. First National Bank, member FDIC.
Fall fishing season is just around the corner, and Borders Sporting Goods is your fishing headquarters for rods and reels from G. Loomis, St. Croix, Fenwick, Lewis, Shimano, Daiwa, and Abu Garcia. No matter the species of fish you are targeting, Borders has the perfect setup to make your next trip on the water a success. Borders has baits in every size and style, with a wide selection of tackle from Berkley, Strike King, Zoom, Z-Man, Bandit, and many more. Before hitting the water for your next fishing trip, stop by and stock up at Borders Sporting Goods, US 60 West in Ashland.
If you can picture yourself in a better job and a better life, there are thousands of openings in Kentucky right now. And with the Work Ready Kentucky Scholarship, you can prepare for many of them tuition-free. Good at Ashland Community and Technical College. This scholarship offers 100% free tuition for classes that can prepare you for a great job in healthcare, advanced manufacturing, and more in as little as 13 weeks. Get started today at WorkReadyKentucky.com.
Since 1932, we've been being a part of our journey.
Primary Plus is celebrating 40 years of its mission of quality, advanced, affordable health care. With over 11 primary care locations throughout the region, Primary Plus believes in our communities and our patients. The Primary Plus name means primary care plus so much more, offering extended services such as women's health, pediatrics, dental, counseling, diabetes management, infusion services, and on-site pharmacy that offers free delivery. Primary Plus believes in connecting health care for you and your family and is always welcoming new patients. Learn more at primaryplus.net.
I'm April Perry, the CEO of Kentucky Farmers Bank. On average, our employees have been with Kentucky Farmers Bank for over 10 years, and that is important to you and us. We want you to know who you are dealing with. Whether you are financing a new home, buying a car, or remodeling your kitchen, Kentucky Farmers Bank is the better bank for all your needs.
Kentucky Farmers Bank, the better bank for all your financial needs since 1931. Located in Ashland, Summit, and Catlettsburg. KentuckyFarmersBank.com. Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender.
Looking for the latest archery gear? Check out Borders Sporting Goods for your best selection of Hoyt and Matthews bows, as well as 10-point crossbows with a full selection of accessories for all your hunting needs. Borders also offers a full selection of shotguns and rifles with plenty of ammunition and reload supplies, along with a full selection of benchmark and case knives. Borders is your headquarters for the largest selection of Liberty gun safes in the area, no matter how big or small you need to keep your firearms safe. Before your next hunting excursion, stop by and stock up at Border Sporting Goods, US 60 West in Ashland. And we're back here on Inside Raceland Football, here from the field house on the campus of Raceland Worthington High School. I'm James Collier, joined now by three members of the offensive line. I'll start here to my left, let you guys go through here and introduce yourselves.
I'm Isaac Horsley. I play right guard.
I'm Carson Bowden. I play center.
Jacob Litteral. I play guard and tackle.
Guys, let's talk about, you guys were hanging around when Coach and I were talking about, so far everything that's been accomplished this season, the first two games, has been through the offense. It starts up front with you guys. Isaac, I'll start here with you. Setting the tone from that offensive line, how big of a task is that for you each week that you guys settle up, that you're going to, one, keep your quarterback upright, and two, make those running lanes for those guys to be able to get through?
It's a big deal knowing the whole team's kind of counting on us because we have some really good players, especially in our backfield. Stiltner, Shane, and Jonah. I mean, those are some of our biggest players, and not physically, but they get the ball a lot, touch the ball a lot. So, yeah, it's makes you a little nervous, but it makes you proud knowing the whole team's kind of leaning on us up front to just get them there and get us down the field and stuff like that. So,
Carson, everything starts with you at the center position. That's a position you've been in for quite some time. For you, kind of knowing the expectations of what is, how big is it for you the way that you have to play of getting everybody where they need to be on that offensive line so you guys move as one unit?
I'd say it's my main job, just really leading everybody in the right direction, making sure everybody's on the same page, and making sure we execute on first down, second down, third down, and just getting 4 yards every play. It's the biggest goal.
Jake, for you, working out on the edge, that's one of the deals of you want to take those edges away so you guys can, especially when you're trying to run the stretch plays. For you, working outside like that, how big is that?
It's a big deal. We run stretch quite a bit, and Christopher Crum beside me, he does a good job of overlapping and taking me over the defensive end so I can move up to the backer. And, yeah, it's a big deal.
Now, you work out there with Crum. Isaac, you've got a guy on the other side of you that you're working with out there. You all turn and look to this guy in the middle, though. What is it about him, the way that he leads, that get you guys where you need to go?
I mean, he has really good leadership, and we can trust him. He's one of those guys on the field that if we're in trouble or we forgot something, we can always go back to Bowden, and he's got us. He's got our back all the time, and he just knows our playbook really well. And we got sometimes right tackle. We lack a little bit there, but he really steps up and helps us when we're in a tight spot. He's always got our back, and yeah, just really good leadership from him. So,
Jake, for you, what do you look at Carson that he brings to the table to keep you guys in that position?
Honestly, I was just thinking about it. If you forget what you're doing, just ask Carson. He's usually got it in his bag. And yeah, what Horsey said, we got some trouble right tackle some. Just like remember plays and stuff, but Carson usually helps him out as much as he can.
Carson, for you, does it add extra pressure to you of knowing that you've got guys at every position that's looking at you, and secondly, you pretty much have to know the playbook almost like the quarterback too, so you make sure everybody gets in the position they need to be in to start with?
Yeah, the pressure part. If I feel like if we mess up, our guys know if we do it wrong, we're doing 100 miles an hour. I feel like that's what we played.
Now, did you work on the offensive line any other spots before you moved into center? Or has that kind of been your niche that you've been in your high school career?
I feel like I've played center since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
So,
just natural at it?
Yeah, I guess so.
Jake, for you, alignment at trade, is that where you've always been? And which one have you always been out there on that tackle spot rather than guard? And which one do you like to work with?
Honestly, starting out, I played center. Some freshman year, I got moved to guard. Sophomore year, I definitely was not fast enough to play tackle until starting last year. We had an injury. Garrett Elkins, he quit, but when he was here, he got injured, hurt his elbow. So I kind of just got thrown in the fire against Pikeville last year playing tackle, but we've got a lot better at it. I like it. I think it's harder than guard, so I like the challenge of it.
Isaac, for you, you're inside. Do you like being inside? Don't have to worry about those edges. You just take the guys trying to come up the middle.
It's pretty obvious. I'm not going to be the fastest guy up front, but
you're very nimble on your feet.
Yeah, for a big fella, but I really like being inside. I'm always double teaming and just getting people on the ground. It's fun. I really enjoy it. So
I said the other night I was looking at the numbers up the middle, just the Carson and the two guards. about 900 pounds in the middle of the line.
So,
I mean, that's a handful to do anything with. And again, when you've got the guys that you got behind you, we've got Jake that's got great field vision, and then you got those 3 prolific backs that you don't need to give them a lot. You just need to give them a little bit. How big is that, knowing that if you guys can just lean on somebody for just long enough, it's going to turn into something big?
It's great knowing if we can do our job for 3 to 4 seconds, then first play at Ashland, we built a wall for 3 seconds and still broke it for a touchdown. So knowing we can trust those guys and they can trust us and we have a good bond, it really helps a lot knowing that. So
that play that he brings up, Carson, I talked to Landon about it, and I said, did you see the cutback low? And he goes, yeah, I wasn't even expecting it to be there. He said, we were running that play to set up something else, and I looked, and there was a giant hole. Did you see that happen, or was it one of the things you turned and all of a sudden there goes Stilton running up the field for 80?
We made the wall, and, I mean, I knew it was going to be a good run because, I mean, they were just on their feet, backpedaling, and then I heard our fans just go crazy. I knew he was gone. If Still gets 3 yards of grass, he's gone. That's what I think.
Is that one of the things as a lineman, is that something you have to kind of look at and say, you hear that roar and you know something big has happened at that point?
That's probably the highlight right there, is just the roar of the crowd going crazy. You know it's a good run.
Jake, for you, what's the big thing about working like you do on that line when you've got those running backs that you know you just need to give them a small little gap to go and something big's going to happen?
I mean, it's awesome, man. I mean, you know, when you do your job, Shannon, I mean, he's going to run through someone's face. Stiltner's just going to fly away. Jonah's fast too, man. So, I mean, any of them, they got big playability, 100%.
Do you guys, and whoever wants to answer this and go, do you guys hear them run past you with the force that they're coming, especially with the way that Stiltner has the speed? Jonah's just a little bit of everywhere, and Marushi's just trying to run over somebody.
I think Shannon sometimes hits me as hard as he can.
When we're running wedge, and we know Shannon's running the ball when he comes and hits us in the back because nobody else hits us like that.
Yeah.
And you can hear Stilt run past you, especially when he breaks one like that. You don't even have to look up. You know he's there. He's just gone.
Running the stretch play, Jake, for you, having to seal that edge, you know that is your main goal. You have to be able to seal that edge to get that where they need to go. What's the biggest technique that you have to perfect yourself with to be able to do that and not get called for a hold?
Well, definitely you got to keep your hands inside. You got to stay flat because if you try to run towards that backer straight up, he's going to run past you. Like Simpkins at Ashland, if I was to run straight at him and not vertical, then he would just fly past me. So that's more the biggest technique part of that.
You've got a great quarterback in Jake Waller, and you could really watch the progression that he's gone through last year and into this year and how much the game has slowed down for him. But to my knowledge, you guys have kept him upright all season long. How much of a personal goal is that for the offensive line each week, making certain that your quarterback doesn't get hit, nobody gets at his feet, and you keep him upright?
I mean, that's one of our biggest tasks is to protect Jake, and we take that to heart. I don't know if we streamed that Belfry scrimmage, but a Belfry kid hit Jake, and we all ran straight there. Like, nobody touches our quarterback, and same way with our running backs. But there's that bond there with Jake, and that's pretty much our main job. Part of it, anyway, is to protect Jake. So yeah, we take that to heart for sure.
Carson, how quickly did you get on the same page as with Jake last year? Again, Parker started off the season as quarterback, and then they made the full change there in week 5 with NCC. But did it take a little bit to get on the page, or did it kind of feel like natural?
Yeah, it felt like natural. I feel like just reps in practice. I feel like we took as many reps with Parker as we did with Jake, so I think Jake just climbed right in there and went 100 miles an hour.
All right, let's talk about some fun stuff. Isaac, what's your favorite thing about the game of football?
It's hitting people, probably. I'm not always the biggest guy on the field, but most of the time I'm one of the biggest, if not the biggest, and just being able to run over people. And Coach Salmons says it all the time. You can do stuff on the football field that if you do in public, you're going to go to jail for or something. You're going to get in trouble. So it's fun just to be able to be physical like that and just have fun with your teammates. It's a lot of fun.
Carson, what's your favorite thing?
I would say the bond as a team. I'd say it's probably my funnest part of football is just knowing all these kids as my brother and doing anything for them on and off the field.
Jake?
I'll definitely piggyback off what Horse said. It's one of the only sports where you can assault somebody without their first.
Is there any better feeling than when you just you pancake somebody? You get that big pop on somebody, you just put them on the ground, and you know there's nothing they do about it.
It's even better whenever we score on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't have a word to say about it.
When you look at the game and all three of you guys being seniors, what's the most embarrassing things you've ever happened to you on the field?
I don't know. That's a tough one. Last year I had a game. I think it was Highlands. I was 30 yards behind the ball and I just fell in the middle of the field. Nobody around me. I just.
Now I want to go back and watch the Highlands film.
I just flat out fell for no reason. I don't know. I don't think I was paying attention. Just lost my footing. But I got up and just put my head down. Went back to the huddle. I was so embarrassed.
Carson, for you?
My sophomore year, we were playing Highlands here.
Okay.
And Lundy threw a pick, and I was like, Lundy threw a pick. I'm gonna go get him. So I'm going over the sideline. The ball's going to the sideline, and this dude comes out of the back of the ball and just kills me. And I think I got knocked out, but I got up and I walked to their sideline. And it was kind of just like, man, I got smoked. But
you definitely remember that for sure.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Jake, for you?
I got to go 8th grade season. We were playing at Greenup County, and I was right in the middle of kickoff return, and they kicked one and hit me right in the face mask, and then dropped on the ground, and I completely whiffed trying to grab it, and they recovered it. It was awful.
It's always the funny things like that you remember. Coach has talked a lot about the rope. This senior class, you guys don't know anything other than playing on the first Friday in December. Trying to make your 4th consecutive trip, still looking to trade into that silver trophy for a gold trophy. How personal is it for you guys to understand that you don't want to be that class that lets go of that rope and not play for a state championship? Isaac, for you guys, so close last year, coming up short, but leaving that much more motivation to get back there and do it again.
Yeah, I haven't been here for the longest, as long as these guys, but when I got here, you could just feel the tension. It's a big deal, and it's a big responsibility, especially to be a senior. And when I came here, I was a junior, so I've always been an upperclassman. And even when I got here, I felt like I needed to be a leader and be in that leadership position. But yeah, it's a big responsibility, but it's fun. And I really like knowing these guys know I have their back, and hopefully we get that gold this year. That's what we're hoping for. So,
Carson, for you,
I would say everybody's locked in on the gold trophy this year, and they don't want to come home with a silver one. Juniors, sophomore, freshmen, seniors, all classes.
Jake?
We've definitely been locked in for it. I mean, this is year 4. All years before we came up second, and it doesn't really matter when you make the state championship. When you leave with a silver trophy, it's still first loser. So I mean, we're definitely going in there trying to dominate and win it all.
No secret what this week is. It's Pikeville week. And again, 2 of the top programs in Class Single A, it's no question about it. Pikeville, they were the head of the class for Class A for several years there and had the better of you guys in the state title game. But it doesn't matter what year it is. It seems like when you put Raceland and Pikeville together on a football field, it turns into an epic matchup. For you guys, when you approach this week, is it still business as usual, or is there a little bit of added fire there when you know that you're playing against your arch rival in Class A?
We have a little extra fire, especially going in preparation throughout the week. Like, Ashland's a huge game for us. They're kind of like a rival for us, and that was a big game, but this is 1A. This is 1A football, and this is one of the teams we might see in the playoffs, maybe even the state final if we make it there, if they make it there. And whoever comes out on top, they're the big dog in 1A. So this really sets the tone to show all the other 1A teams who's on top. So, yeah, it's a big kind of like burden. Just going into this game, we're all ready and we're fired up for it. So,
Carson, Pikeville week, what's that mean?
It means I'd say it's probably the biggest week of the year for me. And there's just a little extra juice in your tank whenever you go here, they come there. But, I mean, we've had a good week of practice, so we'll see.
Jake, another team in maroon. You guys played two Panthers back-to-back weeks. You played 2 of your first 3 games have been against teams in maroon. But that maroon, it just, especially the Pikeville maroon for Raceland, it means a little different.
Yeah, that's them and our Ashland are probably our biggest rivals. I mean, we do not like them. It's pretty obvious. but when you put two of the most physical teams in Kentucky football against each other, it's always going to be a game. So we're hyped up to play them. It's going to be intense at practice. We're excited for it, 100%.
Should be a fun week. Guys, thanks so much. Great job tonight. Thanks for joining us here on the program. I'll talk to you guys Friday night down at Pikeville. All right, we're going to step out for a break. We come back, we'll have Coach Salmons rejoin me, and we will break down Pikeville Week as we continue our coverage here on Inside Raceland Football on the Total Media Sports Network.
Good morning, Isabella.
Hi, David.
Back for your morning routine?
Clark's Refresh Rewards program is something you'll flip for.
Hey, Isabella. Hi, Annabelle.
Donut?
Don't forget the sprinkles. Cream and sugar.
Download our app today and enjoy all of the rewards. No flipping required.
Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
At First National Bank, we strive to make every person that walks through our doors feel like family. Because to us, you are. For over 120 years, we have lived in and served the families of Kentucky with genuine care through the good times and the bad. Come and see the difference banking with family can truly make for you at any of our 7 locations or visit our website at www.fnbgrayson.com. First National Bank, member FDIC.
Fall fishing season is just around the corner, and Border Sporting Goods is your fishing headquarters for rods and reels from G. Loomis, St. Croix, Fenwick, Luce, Shimano, Daiwa, and Abu Garcia. No matter the species of fish you are targeting, Borders has the perfect setup to make your next trip on the water a success. Borders has baits in every size and style, with a wide selection of tackle from Berkley, Strike King, Soon, Z-Man, Bandit, and many more. Before hitting the water for your next fishing trip, stop by and stock up at Border Sporting Goods, US 60 West in Ashland.
If you can picture yourself in a better job and a better life, there are thousands of openings in Kentucky right now. And with the Work Ready Kentucky Scholarship, you can prepare for many of them tuition-free. Good at Ashland Community and Technical College. This scholarship offers 100% free tuition for classes that can prepare you for a great job in healthcare, advanced manufacturing, and more in as little as 13 weeks. Get started today at workreadykentucky.com.
Since 1932, we've been thank you for being a part of our journey.
Primary Plus is celebrating 40 years of its mission of quality, advanced, affordable health care. With over 11 primary care locations throughout the region, Primary Plus believes in our communities and our patients. The Primary Plus name means primary care plus so much more, offering extended services such as women's health, pediatrics, dental, counseling, diabetes management, infusion services, and on-site pharmacy that offers free delivery. Primary Plus believes in connecting health care for you and your family and is always welcoming new patients. Learn more at primaryplus.net.
I'm April Perry, the CEO of Kentucky Farmers Bank. On average, our employees have been with Kentucky Farmers Bank for over 10 years, and that is important to you and us. We want you to know who you are dealing with. Whether you are financing a new home, buying a car, or remodeling your kitchen, Kentucky Farmers Bank is the better bank for all your needs.
Kentucky Farmers Bank, the better bank for all your financial needs since 1931. Located in Ashland, Summit, and Catlettsburg. KentuckyFarmersBank.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Looking for the latest archery gear? Check out Border Sporting Goods for your best selection of Hoyt and Matthews bows, as well as 10-point crossbows with a full selection of accessories for all your hunting needs. Borders also offers a full selection of shotguns and rifles with plenty of ammunition and reload supplies, along with a full selection of benchmark and case knives. Borders is your headquarters for the largest selection of Liberty gun safes in the area, no matter how big or small you need to keep your firearms safe. Before your next hunting excursion, stop by and stock up at Border Sporting Goods, US 60 West in Ashland. Back on Inside Raceland Football. We get the door up now, and I mean, it's kind of turned out to a nice evening. We saw something we haven't seen in, I think, about 2 months, Coach. We had some rain this evening.
Yeah, we actually, crazy thing, we were out there doing a little walkthrough before practice. We called it pre-practice at 3:40. And it just gets a little dark, but I was a little bit zoned in, you know. And then about 3:50, I blow the whistle, so we go to our group work, is what we call it. And one of the coaches hollers at me. I'm like, what's going on here? You usually leave me alone here. Let's go. He's like, I don't know. Did you see? I was facing towards. I guess I'd be facing towards the south. I was again a little bit oblivious. I was pretty zoned up at the time. And he's like, did you see what happened behind you? I'm like, I have no idea. So I turned around, and about that time, a big lightning bolt came down. So we ended up spending about, I said we was in the gym for maybe, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes. And then when we came out and got done just in time, right at 6 o'clock, another storm rolled through here. When we started the show, it was storming. So, it's nice out here now. It's a very nice room, and it's a very nice setup.
Yeah, we're going to take one of the. We'll probably do it during bye week, but we'll do a full tour of the indoor. We'll do it live. We'll put it on the transmitters. We'll walk through and get everything and stuff. So we'll have some fun with that. But a beautiful building, and inside of it, we'll definitely show it off. Before we get into Pikeville Week, Denise King wants to know, what coach did you look up to the most when you were playing, and what's the best advice they gave you?
For me,
yes.
Denise King, yes, she's a good Ram fan right there.
Oh, absolutely.
She's outstanding. I was blessed. I got to play for Coach Ross for 2 years, here at Raceland in 95 and 96, and then he moved on, and then Coach Vanderhoof took over 97, 98. So just two outstanding men. Coach Ross, all-time winningest coach here, and, he hangs down in our weight room, and we got stuff for him here in the building. And the guy that, he had the longest tenure here. Those two guys actually are the longest two tenure coaches here, respectively. Only been 3 coaches since in 100 years that's been here 10 years or more. Two of them and myself. And so those guys were just outstanding motivators. I was at a time in my life, I was raised by a single parent at the time, and I was really influenced by grown men. And those two guys were top notch, and those both were really special to me. I moved on to college, played for a guy named Coach Paul, who was really instrumental in my life when I went from young adulthood into young teenage into the 20s, and played as a young my early 20s there, and he was a good man and still a good friend to this day. But I think those high school years, kids are so impressionable and they need so much guidance. And Coach Ross and Coach Huff, I don't know if a guy could draw up a scheme to have 2 better men than that.
Back in the days when you played for Huffy, was he saying dip back then as well?
Yeah. So Coach Huff, Coach Johnson was a big part of my life too. He was a basketball coach here, but he was Coach Huff and Coach Johnson at the time, they're a little bit younger than what they are now, and they of course they both, I don't know, the Lord works in mysterious ways. He both gave them nothing but daughters, and maybe that was by design. But those guys were extremely intense, extremely fiery, extremely very emotional guys, very very no nonsense, and those guys meant business. And I think that was one thing that really stuck with me through the years. But Coach Huff always has a very diverse, appropriate, I will say he's very appropriate vocabulary, and we've adopted some of that around the locker room and the field house. And even
it's 2 top teams in Class Single A that just, plain and simple, they respect each other, but they don't like each other.
Yeah, first of all, Coach McNamee, utmost respect for him and what he's done. A lot of ways, kind of like us here. He went to Pikeville, grew up in Pikeville, graduated from Pikeville. He won some state championships there. We haven't got that part yet. Went to college at Eastern. For some years, I don't exactly know his career path. He was a little bit ahead of me, and then he goes back home. And so, we got several guys here that's kind of followed that same career path. We got several guys here who played here and came back here and coached, including myself. And so just a lot of respect for him and his hometown and what he's been able to do there, through the peaks and the valleys. They are the standard in Class A football, and the title runs through there regardless of what happened a year ago. They've won 3 of the last 4, and you'd have to go back and do the math, 5 or 6 of the last 8 or 9 since Beechwood moved out. And so they are the standard in Class A football that everybody's measured against. And that's what we're up against on Friday. We know that. This is a good game for us this early in the year, so we know exactly where we stand. I'm sure he would say the same thing, and he would also tell you the same thing I'll tell you. Nobody's getting sized up for rings on Friday, and nobody's getting trophies on Friday. But it's certainly a barometer for both teams and things that each team needs to work on as they go through this journey of trying to get to be their best when their best is needed.
Last 2 times these 2 teams have hooked up, it's been a phenomenal atmosphere. 16-0 they led here last year. You guys cut it down to 3, had a chance there late. They made a big play to ice it. 2 years ago, you guys go down there and you got your first win in Pikeville since back in the 50s in a 7-6 ball game. It's one of those deals. It's usually not a high-scoring affair. It's a defensive-minded game, and a costly turnover here or there can really haunt you at the end.
Yeah, I think 2 teams that are going to pride themselves. That's what I talked about earlier. Stopping the run, running the football. Obviously, you got to value the football too. You can't turn it over. That's one thing that happened to us last year, and they gave up some explosive plays. But 2 teams are really going to really be blue collar. Really going to line up and try to run the football and try to stop the run. Going to be opportunistic as far as taking chances in the passing game. Teams that are really going to, just like we had in here earlier, we had our offensive line in here. Really going to try to take on that identity of their football team. And, I don't know if you call us in the mountains here. We're certainly not in the flatland.
We're the foothills.
Yeah, there you go. We're the foothills, somewhere in the middle. But, some blue-collar mountain teams, mountain kids that really don't know any better than to put on for their hometown. And I think that's what you get when you get these two programs together.
Something you always preach, 48 minutes, keep pounding. Yeah. And we've seen that, I think, over 2 weeks, that the Ashland game in that fourth quarter drive there, 7 minutes, 22 seconds, when you guys got the football back and used every second off the clock. And then you just really leaned on PRP last week and broke any chances of hope that they wanted to have out of the gate.
Yeah, it's kind of the pillar of our program, and the old analogy or whatever you want to call it about, what chop of the axe drops the tree. And it's certainly not the first and it's certainly not the last, but it's a culmination of all the swings of the axe. And so that's kind of who we are. That's where keep pounding comes from. That's kind of our mindset. How many body blows can you deliver? How many times can you get back up off the mat and keep going? How much adversity can you face and not flinch and keep moving forward? And this game will show you that. Not necessarily just this Pikeville game. This game of football is no greater test of life than that. And so hopefully our kids take that with them as they move beyond this field house and beyond these doors as they go through life. And it will definitely be on display Friday night. We will face some adversity. And, like the Ashland game you speak about, we scored. I don't know if people thought about it this way. I think it's one of the coaches' things, but we scored on the first play of the game and the last play of the game. That's a long time, but 48 minutes, matter of fact, between those two areas. And, that's really the culmination of who we are. It's a long game. You're always trying to get to the next play and keep leaning and scratching and fighting and being gritty and just trying to give yourself a chance in the end. And our kids have bought into that, and I think over time that we've had some success because of it.
When you look at the preparation going in, where do you hang your hat this week? Is it one of those deals? I mean, I know you always want to try to stay balanced, but again, when you look at how things play with Pikeville, it's no secret. Both teams want to run the football.
Yeah, both teams want to run the football. I mean, they're going to try to establish the run. They broke a big run on us last year, but they also broke a big pass on us. We made a couple plays against them as well. I think maybe our team is a little different than what we've been in the past. We got a very confident quarterback, a guy that we're extremely confident in, a guy that has won the locker room down the hallway over many times, a guy that we really feel like that can go out and win us a football game if it comes to that. I know at Ashland it didn't necessarily come down to that as we, ended up the way that game played out with turnovers was a little different. But we're going to mix and match, try to take what the defense gives us. We got to feel like we got a good thought process to run the ball. We feel like we got a good thought process to use Jake and the guys in the passing game to deliver the ball on time and try to hopefully take some shots down the field and hopefully connect. And Jake, this game last year I think was the game that everybody knew that Jake was our quarterback. This was what made our team the best. Jake at quarterback, Parker at receiver. Get guys in place, start getting guys in the right seat on the right bus. I talk about that all the time. And this game a year ago showed that. Then the next week I think we went to Highlands and we played them both just to try to get through the night. And again, very competitive. And then from that point on, Jake has been the quarterback of our team. And so just very confident in him. I'm very excited for him to lead our football team. And obviously he has some ability to make some checks at the line of scrimmage to get us in the things we need to get in. And we're really excited to go down there Friday and put our best foot forward and really compete against the standard. They are the standard in Class A football. That's who we're all chasing, and we're excited for the opportunity.
It's going to be awkward going to Pikeville and not hearing the names Isaac Duty, Brendan Anthony, Blake Birchfield. Those guys that were part of all of those runs there. And it's one of those things that it's kind of like what you talk about. The same thing here at Raceland. You graduate a Logan Lundy, and next thing you know, you've got a Jake Waller coming behind him. You graduate a Noah Wallace, and you've got a Landon Stilton, Shannon Marucci, and a Jonah Arnett coming by. It's program rich, both on both sides. It just replenish each and every year.
Yeah, and you'll see that Friday when you see the team in maroon or black, whatever they'll be dressed out in. They got other guys. Number 35 has graduated. and I am thankful for that. And he was a phenomenal high school football player, just phenomenal. I don't mean at all running back or linebacker. I mean, he was a phenomenal high school football player. I think he might be the school's all-time leading tackler. I mean, that probably says enough.
He
right?
usually was up there.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows you how special he was. And played against him on some big stages, right? Regular season, playoffs, state finals, whatever it may be, as a young player and as an old player. And, but the quarterback now they got is number 10, the Reynolds kid, is phenomenal. And plays with his feet real well, plays with a lot of confidence, makes throws on the run, maybe does some things a little different than Duty. Doesn't make him any better or any worse. He's just different. The running back, the Justice kid, played kind of in the, kind of second fiddle, I guess, if you will, a year ago. And he's been a starter for them on defense for 2 years, and he's a junior now. And he's a phenomenal high school running back. I think he just goes unnoticed because he's been behind these other guys for a while. But he's strong, he's powerful, he runs well, he sees the field well, he's got great vision. He knows exactly what his coaches want him to do. And they got guys on the outside. The Hager kid out there, number 0, he's a phenomenal player in space. And they got multiple players in the middle. On defense and on offense that have played in the past against us, that we know well, that they know us well. And it's kind of like the next man up mentality, right? And they're kind of like us. Their guys don't want to let go of the rope. They know what's happened before them. Well, they probably have some hunger from how their season ended a year ago too. And so that's what high school football is all about. Kids really going out there and trying to perform and give their best effort.
After this week, you get to turn the lights on here for the first time this season. A crazy way the schedule's set up, but that's the way things landed. But a new opponent that you guys bring in. You'll play Mercer County, a 3A school, and an opportunity for you to kind of, shine in front of the home stand, but more importantly, get a new opponent out there that you've not seen before.
Yeah, we got some new flavor right on our schedule. I think we have 3 new teams on our schedule. We lost Highlands LCA and Letcher, and picked up PRP. Mercer is one, and then we got East Carter. And so East Carter's a new old opponent or old new opponent, whatever you want.
Back in the early teens since you guys played them.
Yeah, I played them. I think it was my first game here as head coach. It's kind of a funny story. We played them, and we had to play 2 nights. Play on a Friday. We got some weather, had to go back and play Saturday. Some things you just don't forget. But excited to get back home next week. We'll be home for 2 weeks in a row and have a Hall of Fame game next week, and then the next week honor our young kids on our JFL night when Newport Catholic comes to town. And just try to, Mercer County is a Central Kentucky school. So at some point next year we'll take our product, our football team and our football program, going to Central Kentucky and try to, exploit that market and see if we can wrestle up some old Rams out there that may have moved in that area, and at least close enough to Lexington they can make the drive on down to Harrisburg, I think. But yeah, we're excited what our schedule turned out. We kind of worked out. We got 5 games, a bye week, and then 5 more games. And obviously the 3 district games looming in October are the ones that we have circled, highlighted, and starred, and everything else you want to do. Those are the ones that matter to us, and those are the ones we're most excited about. And those are the ones that have the most direct impact on our journey, at least for the first 2 rounds. I know you've heard my spiel on RPI, but if you can't take care of business in your district and be home for the first 2 rounds, then you can take that RPI and then you can throw it in the trash. It's not worth the paper it's written on. So you really got to take care of business in the district, and that will be big for us in October.
Well, the couple of one more day to kind of put the horses in the stable to figure out what you want to do. That last day before you get ready to head down to Pikeville tomorrow, what's the biggest focus that you want to see from your team, but just trying to focus on Raceland and getting yourself ready for that battle Friday night?
We'll do a nice little run through tomorrow where we cover all of our special teams, our offensive, defensive checks. And I think the big thing there is, we want, and I picked this up actually off the NFL. We want it to be full speed mentally to the ball snap, and then at that point we're going to have a different pace. But we got to make sure that we're good mentally. In other words, we're getting our correct checks, our correct alignments, our correct steps, that we're moving in the right direction. That we know what stunt we're in versus a certain look, or what stunt that they're giving us versus a certain look, and how we're going to protect it, and maybe how we're going to try to exploit some looks that they give us, and how we need to make sure that we get ourselves checked in some looks they're going to give us so we are safe and secure, so we don't give up explosive plays. Those are the type of things that we look for on Thursday. Our energy has been good. We've had good energy all week. I think going back from the Wheelersburg game, that's probably been the biggest thing that's helped us. what happened at Wheelersburg was direct reflection of the way we practiced. And from there, I think guys, they may have heard us before that, but I'm not sure they really believed us. And after that, when we practiced well at Ashland, of course we played well, I think that hooked them. And now they realize the value of practice. Now you have to practice well at a certain tempo, at a certain pace, at a certain level, at a certain standard to get the desired results you want on Friday. You just don't show up on Friday and say, hey, I'm here, give it to me. You got to earn it all week long. And so I think that's been a big learning for us over the past 3 weeks. And I think tomorrow will be one last day for us to make sure we're sharp mentally. I guess this week is a short road trip, right? It's 2 hours. It's 115 miles versus, I don't know what we went last week. 250. 215 miles last week. So, in that regard, it'll be a little bit shorter drive. So we're really excited for the opportunity, and it'll be a great high school environment down there on Friday night.
I'll be down in Pikeville with the team Friday night. You can catch the action right here, audio only. We can't stream video from there, but we will have audio only on Kool TV. Same place you found right here. I'll be with you beginning at 7:10 for countdown to kickoff. We'll put it in the air for Pikeville and Raceland at 7:30. Coach, a fun first show. Greatly appreciate it. Looking forward to next week. We'll get some new players. We'll talk Hall of Fame class next week as well, and we'll talk about that first home game, and we'll break down Pikeville and see how things play out.
Yeah, really excited. I think this is good for our program, good for our community. This town beats around this little school and this little football team. Also, next week will be our first chance to get the video that you spoke about. Our team will be streamed on a phenomenal product on Kool TV. So we're really excited about that, and it'll be nice to get home. But first things first, we're excited for 48 hours down Pikeville to really compete at a high level against a high-level program.
Coach, we'll talk to you Friday night.
Thanks, James.
That's going to do it for us here on our first episode of Inside Raceland Football. Hat tip to my crew behind the scenes, Jacob Hankins and Felicia Collier. She only dropped her phone once in the middle of the program. Of course, she's going to do something crazy, but they did a great job behind the scenes. Greatly appreciate everyone that checked in and watching here. Again, each Wednesday night from 7 to 8 o'clock right here on the Total Media Sports Network and Kool TV. For Mike Salmons, everyone behind the scenes, I'm James Collier saying so long. We'll talk to you Friday night from Pikeville for Raceland Football right here on the Total Media Sports Network.
Thanks for watching this episode of Inside Raceland Football on Kool TV. Join us each Wednesday night at 7 for another episode as we break down everything with Raceland Rams football.